once again to the class 3, the third class for the Python for Data Science Bootcamp program. Yeah, so we would be doing the recap, and then afterwards we'll be taking our questions. All right. Hope you all had a great day once again. So today we would be looking at on our training schedule. We are supposed to have gone through the content on the LMS for on our learning platform for NumPy Basics, NumPy Operations, NumPy Function and Indexing, NumPy Nd Arrays, NumPy Indexing, and the NumPy Picture Phrase Challenge. So those are the things that you should have gone through. So if I go to the, oh, sorry, I'm showing another let me navigate back. This is another program. Okay, so I'll go into this program. All right, so we are supposed to, today is October 23rd. All right, so we are having our live class at the moment. So before now, from Friday, right, we stopped at Python. We did a wrap up of Python. And then there were some exercises that she should have, attended to. So before I continue, if you go through this learning platform sequentially, you would actually see all the necessary instructions on how to navigate the program, because we keep getting questions on what do I do, how am I supposed to go about the program and all. So the approach of this program is that you're supposed to review the content on this learning platform. It's just like a structured guide for you, for your own learning. All right. So when you go through it sequentially and you read it, you sign up on the platforms. These are the class recordings for Python for data science module. So this module, you have on our orientation, we had orientation on before we started this program. The recording is here. You can click and view, go through the recording. Then we have a frequently asked question, and the question we get most times, how do I download my notebooks, the resources from the LMS? When you download it, sometimes I mentioned that in our previous Q&A session, that sometimes, because of their Jupyter notebooks, when they are not zipped, when you download them on the internet, it converts it to a JSON format, and that's why you see some scripts. So this video helps you, guides you on what to do regarding that. So if you've actually gone through this platform, right, you'll be able to answer some questions that are being raised. So then for each of the classes we have the video recording here, the recap sessions that we are having at the moment. So for class 1, we have it here. For class 2, we have it here. For class 3, which we are currently doing, it will be uploaded after the class. And then for each of the classes, you have an assignment, you have an exercise table here, right? So each of these exercise notebooks, you can download it when you're done with your exercise. Yeah, so you can scroll. There's a scroll bar at the bottom. You can scroll and then click upload your assignment. When you click on it, it will take you to an Excel form where you can write your name and upload the exercise, your assignment. So that's the way you go about the assignment submission for all the classes. All right, then you can follow along each of the content. Then there are some video resources, like we have some video modules that you're supposed to watch, which are previous recordings of our bootcamp. All right, so you go around that as well, watch them, because they are more in depth. They are going to treat all the contents more specifically, and because what we are doing in this class is just a recap overview of different concepts. So this videos will give you like specific and intensive explanation of those concepts. So if you don't watch this video, you'll be having a lot of questions to ask in class, right? So it's be good for you to watch this video. It's also on YouTube. You can watch it on YouTube as well. All right. And then you can also subscribe so that you can always get notification when we upload new videos. Okay, so let me just go right into what we have for today. So today this week we are focusing on NumPy and introduction to pandas. And then you should have gone through this. You should have gone through this content, right? This NumPy basic function and index in this video, and all of this, the surveys, the notebooks for each of the videos are below. I mean, for the notebook used in the video, they are at the bottom of the page where you can download it and, you run it on your system as well. Okay, then you have the hands-on exercise, the NumPy review challenge. All right, so we are going to get started. Okay, and what we'll be doing is just a brief recap of this modules, the NumPy basic operation, function, indexing, NdArrays, and then the picture phrase challenge was really addressed in the video. All right, so would not be going through that except if you have questions from any of the contents. Okay, so if you have your questions, go to this Slido link and start dropping your questions. Okay, start dropping your questions. This is the link. You can, when you go there, right, you can drop your question. So I just answered this question. Please demonstrate how to submit assignments. I just answered that question. All right, so let us get started with a recap of today's class. So we'll be doing a recap based on we'll be looking at one of our challenges that were given in class. Okay, that will be done during the Q&A, Vicent. When we'll do that during the Q&A, let me just, because we have a time frame for this class. Once it's during the Q&A, I'll come again on how to submit the assignments. So you can just, hang on till the Q&A session. Okay. All right. So here there is this challenge that you're supposed to also attempt and walk through, but then we're going to do this together, and then because it's going to like give us an overview of so many of the concepts that have been touched during the class video recordings. Okay, so I have the next 40 minutes to do this, and let's see how far we can go before we would be having our quiz. So this usually we have our recap sessions within the first 50 minutes. Then we have a 10 minutes quiz break. Afterwards, we have a Q&A session till the end of the class. Okay, so we're going to get started again. NumPy, if you've followed the video, right, you would have, gotten the videos on the LMS and all that. They're also on our YouTube as well. You would have gotten like a background of what NumPy is, but then I'm going to repeat some concepts so that you would further understand what it's about. So NumPy for short is is called numerical Python. Like in the lists, we started with the Python variables, data types, right? What are data types? We have the strings, the integer, the floating point numbers, and the Boolean. Then we looked at the data structures, which are what? The list, the tuples, sets, dictionaries, and list, tuple, sets, dictionaries. Those are data structures in Python, but then they are kind of limited when it comes to handling mathematical computations. So like for example, I shared in class that I won't want to mess up this book, but okay, whatever I do, I'll have to just delete it. But let me just continue. right? So in this, for a list, for example, we have a list of items of elements 1, 2, 3, 4, A, and then we have another list, okay, 6, 7, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. If you do A plus B, can you see what is happening? It's not doing any addition for you. It's actually concatenating the elements. All right. So those are limitations of lists. If dictionaries cannot do mathematical computation, but then you find out that in data analytics or data science, you do a lot of computations when it comes to some mathematical computation. So the best Python library to use is at the NumPys. So NumPys can carry out super fast mathematical computation. It has a lot of libraries that you don't even have to, start writing your code from scratch. You can just import and use them. And so those were things that we addressed in the videos on the LMS. All right. So then I'll just be doing a little recap of what we're touching on, different concepts from this challenge, different concepts on how to use how to do some NumPy related tasks. So before you use NumPy, all right, you have to import it. So if you're using Jupyter Notebook, most persons are using Jupyter Notebook, right? But then if you're using some other platforms, you might not have NumPy installed automatically. So if you don't have it installed, you have to do pip install. So I'm going to use NumPy, any Python package. NumPy is a Python package. You have to import the package NumPy, that's the name of the package, and then you can give it an alias as MP. So because NumPy is imported, it has been installed, it's not showing an error. So if the package has not been installed, it will tell you that no module NumPy found. So you have to go and launch. If you're using other terminals, you can just go to your terminal and launch it, and then pip install NumPy. You just pip install and then the name of the package, and it installs the package for you, after which you can now come here to import. Okay, I believe we got that. Okay, so all of these have been addressed in that video. I just thought to touch on that for the sake of recap. All right, so we have to import our NumPy package before we use it. So let me just follow this notebook and then we continue from there. Okay, let me just finish up with this. So if you're supposed to use a NumPy to do this, to address this, so what you can do now is you have to convert this list into a NumPy array. After importing, you can just say something like np.array A. Then we have our B as np.array B. So if you see, let's see can you see that it has been converted to an array? So because it has been converted to a NumPy array, you can easily do your computation. So if now I want to do my A plus B, let's do our A plus B now. You see that our A plus B is being added, like what we should have normally. It's been added because that's the power of NumPy. There is a function in we talked about function and methods, right? There is a function in NumPy that you can call and that can convert your list into an array, and because it's in an array format, you can do your mathematical computations on the on that particular array. I hope we got that. All right, so moving into our challenge, let's get into solving our challenge. Okay, so the first instruction says import NumPy as MP, which is statutory. You have to import your package. So importing the package, what does it mean to import a package? You're doing that so that you would be able to access the package. You'll be able to use the package and all the functions in the package in that particular notebook. Okay, so that's why you're importing the package. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a bit. I believe it's better now. All right. Okay, so after importing your package, the next thing we want to do, the instruction says create a one-dimensional array of numbers from 0 to 9 and save it as Q1. So and then your answer is already there. So we are working towards our output. So the first thing to do when you hear one-dimensional array of numbers, there are different functions in NumPy. There's a function called the arrange function. The arrange function helps you to create different ranges of values from. So because I've imported NumPy, so I can access the arrange function, right? And then what it accepts the start value and then the end value, because I want 0 to 9. So I'm going to say 0, 10 because it's going to give me from 0 to 9. And it's not going to, the last number is exclusive. So it's not going to include 10. It's going to stop at 9. So because I want 0 to 9, I would say np.arrange 0 to 10. So this is the answer. Like I've created a one-dimensional array using the arrange function, to address this. Normally, if I don't use the arrange function, the first thing I'll ask to do is to create a list of 0 to 9, right, of elements 0 to 9, and then use the np.array to convert it. But because there's a function in NumPy called the arrange that I can use, I can just easily call that function. And if you're not sure of what the function, the argument of the function take, you can just do your shift tab on your system or your command. Okay, at shift tab, shift tab. Yes, so when you do shift tab, it tells you it gives you a doc string about the function defined. So we have the start. It's telling you that give us the start value, right? And give us what? The stop value. Usually the stop value is -1, like it's +1, your stop value +1, okay? Okay, so it's not zoomed. All right, then you can have a step also as well. So if you want to give to have like values, maybe like even numbers, you could just say I want a step of 2, and then you can see it's giving you 0. It's keeping the one of the next elements 2, skips the next 3. So that's what the step function does. Okay, so if you want like it to be in a step of 3, you can do that as well. Okay, so depending on what you want, you can use the arrange function to achieve that. So we've actually solved this problem, right? We've created the array, and then we are moving to the next one. So the next thing says, create a one-dimensional array of numbers from 10 to 49 and save it as Q2. So let me just continue and follow the instructions so that I can be compliant with so I can just print it out so that I can have the value. So we have the Q1 and then we have this array. So I can see that my answer is the same. So I can, easily, I'm good with this. Okay, so let me make a copy of this. All right, we can continue. I didn't want to mess up the original file. All right, so let's go ahead. We have the next, if you have questions, you can drop them on the Slido. I believe the zooming in is okay now. At least it's a little bit better, right? Because somebody can confirm that so that I'll be sure that you all are on this. I mean, we all are on the same page. Okay. So I believe that's a yes. I've not gotten any response. All right, great. Okay, I just saw the response. Okay, so let us continue with the next thing to do. The next step is to create a one-dimensional array of from 10 to 49 and save it as Q2. So I think somebody should be able to attempt that. Who can attempt in the chat? I'm expecting the answer. Then I'll explain. Who can attempt that? It's similar to what we just did now. Can somebody attempt that quickly? Can you attempt that? Can you attempt that? Okay, someone says mp.arrange 10, 50. So let me try that. So we are supposed to do this on our own, right? But then we are using it for our recap. It says MP not defined. So what's the problem? Okay, because I made a copy, so I have to run it again. I have to start all over again. All right, let me just run the import statement again. That's why this is throwing an error. Okay, so let's clap for let's clap for who was the person that gave me the first answer? Andrew. Thank you, Andrew. That's correct. Thank you, Anne. That's correct as well. All right. So I think we are making progress. So why is this so? Just like what I did initially, the arrange function takes the stats because we want to stop at 49. We have to do put plus 1, right? 10, 50. So now we have a range of values from an array from 10 to 49, and then we save that Q2. All right, so let's move to the next one quickly. Copy the Q2 array and save it as Q3, reverse the values in Q3 array so that the first element becomes last. So all of these concepts had been explained in class. So to create a copy, all right, to create a copy of your array, what do? You just say the array. Now we know how our Q2 is this, which we've saved. Okay, I will mention that the Python is a sequential language. It works from top down, so it has Q2 in memory. So creating a copy, why do you create a copy? Sometimes you might need to alter the original copy. So because you don't want to mess up, maybe you want to still use this copy for something else. You don't want to mess it up eventually, right? So it's good to just have a copy of that array so that, because by the time we are reversing the values and all of that, if you want to use this Q2 again, would have issues, So to prevent that from happening, just create the copy instead of messing up the Q2, just create a copy and use that copy for whatever computation you want to do. And that's why we're creating a copy. Okay, so create a copy and save it as Q3. We just did that. So if I print out Q3, you can see that we have the same elements. Okay, so we've copied it. Now, the next question, it says that we should reverse the value in Q3. The first elements become last. That is, these first elements become what? Last, and then the last element becomes first. I believe we know the reverse. So can somebody try that as well? Can somebody try give us the answer to that? I want to see if we can attempt that, and I'll explain how we got that. Can somebody try that? Okay, let me see. Nobody's attempting. Okay, because of our time, let's just continue. Okay. There is a function called the dot flip function. Now, if an act of debugging. For example, you don't even know how to go about this. Maybe it hasn't been mentioned in class, or it can. Some people are having issues joining. Please, you can help them out. Can share the link with them as well. Okay. Anybody can try to do that. We can, for example, you have this challenge at your end. I don't know the dot flip function. You can start your act of debugging. You could just ask on Google, even if you don't go on ChatGPT, how to reverse a 1D array, NumPy array. So you see the stack overflow and all of that. Someone just gave you that ARR, right? ARR dot dots -1. You can go down. You can see here, NumPy.flip function reverses the order. So this kind of give you like the an idea of how to approach it, even if you don't know how to go about it. But then if you go to the NumPy documentation, you can see the NumPy documentation here, NumPy.flip. So if you open the documentation, it says reverse the order of elements in an array along the given axis. So we have the NumPy.flip, the name of the array, then the axis you want to flip. That's when you have more than one dimension of, one-dimensional array. Maybe have like a 2-dimension and all of that. Okay, I think I need to run now. Our time is fast spent. Let us continue. Yeah, so I believe we got that. So you can just apply that. Looking at the NumPy documentation, you could another skill you need to learn is how to read documentation. It's not difficult. It's just somebody wrote it, all right? So it's just for you to understand how to approach it. So the syntax from here says what? From here, what does it say? NP, our NumPy.flip, then the name of the array. So you can just say NP.flip Q3. So you can see that it has reversed it. And then we've solved our problem. All right, so let's move on. I believe we all understood. So the question says create a copy, reverse the values in Q3, first element become last element become, all right, good. So now the next is create a 3x3 matrix from a value ranging from 1 to 9 and save into Q4. Now the first thing that comes to your mind is, for me to create a 3x3 matrix, right? You must have come across, there is another function in NumPy. So if you read, there's the video on NumPy NumPy functions and indexing. So we treated different NumPy functions that are commonly used. There are a lot of them, but they're the ones that you continue to come in contact with as you do your analysis. They were treated in that video. So just do well to watch them. All right. So here, the first thing that comes to your mind is I want to create a 3x3 matrix. So I know I'm already thinking about a function that I'm going to use to create it. But the first thing I need to do is to get my values. How do I get my values from 1 to 9? I don't have any value. How do I get my value from 1 to 9? You know that there is a function that can help you get your values. You see, here we can create an array of value, a range of values. So the first step is to get our values, right? And then we would do that quickly. Let me just create additional cells so that I don't wipe off my answer. Okay, so we have Q4. I could have just written this in a single line, but because for the sake of explanation, you would have to, I would have to do it in a stepwise form. Okay, I was trying to look at the meeting chart. Someone is saying he's trying to join. All right. Okay. So we have Q4 equals, we're going to create a range of values, np.arrange. Now, what would our range be? 1 from 1 to 9. So our range has to be our stats, which is 1, comma, 9 plus 1, 10. Okay, so that's the first step. Q4. Now, we've created the range of array. So, but the question says create a 3x3 matrix with values ranging from 1 to 9. How do you, this is a one-dimensional array. Now we are going to another, like a two-dimensional array. I mentioned in class that when you're creating a two-dimensional array, there is this function called the reshape function that you can use to alter the dimension of your array. So you can just say q4.reshape. Python is case sensitive, so I have to use the same value. Reshape 3,3. So you're going to give it the dimension you want to reshape this to. And then take note, when you're doing your reshaping, the shape that you're reshaping your array to the multiplication of that shape has to be the total number of elements. So this is this element, we have about 9 elements in this in this array, right? 9 elements in this array. So you can only reshape it to 1 by 9, 9 by 1, or 3 by 3. Any other shape would throw an error. So let me do 3 by 4, for example. You can see it said cannot reshape array of size 9 into shape 3 by 3, 3 by 4. So the question says reshape it to a 3 by 3. So now you can see that it has changed it to a 3 by 3 matrix where we have 3 rows. This is n by n, rows by column. So we have 3 rows and 3 columns. So now array is gradually taking you into you're gonna getting into your tabular records. By the time you get into pandas, now you see you know, more of the tabular records and how to do them, how to use them. All right, so let us proceed. We have our answer already. So the answer is you know, like, so we can run. The next question says set a random seed of 42. So what this random seed does is that it helps you to get, because when you do you perform an operation, most especially a random operation on a random operation on a particular array, it gives you different values. So if you want to have the same value every time you run that particular function, you set a seed. You can give it any number. This seed number does not mean anything. You can have 42. It's just that when you have random seed 42 and I have random seed 42, we get the same values. So you can choose any number, do random.seed, np.random.seed, and then it seeds your random number. It prevents it from changing every time you run that particular cell. So it says that set a random seed of 42, create a 10 by 5 array with random values and save it as Q5. Use the np.random.random as a check. Your first row of the array should be this. You see, because they've set a seed already, so our values is the same thing as your value should be the same thing as my own values, because I've set the seed of 42, and then your value should be the same as mine because we are using the same seed. All right, so we want to create a 10 by 5 array with the random values and save it as what? 40. I mean, we'll save and save it as Q5. Okay, so we're going to use first of all, run this. I don't want to run the answer, so I'm going to add more. I'm going to add more cells. I'm going to add more cells to it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say that it says I should say random values of what? 10 by 5. So the first thing I have to do is to create my random values. How do you create your random values? There's this function called the np.random.random. It gives you the random numbers. There's rand int, there's rand n, there is random. Random gives you values that are floating point values. So I'm going to load that function so that you can see how it works. So he said return random floats in half open intervals such that you have your values between 0, which is inclusive, and 1.0, which is exclusive. Alias for random.sample to is forward porting to the new random. Okay, so you can also use the random_sample if you're using their new API. All right, so this is the random function. This is what NumPy defined as. So now the way you're using is random.random, right? You just give it a size. That's what you're going to give that random value. So now we have an understanding of how the function works. So the first thing is to say that our Q, what they say we should say that our Q5 equals what? np.random. Now, what the random value takes, it takes your size. The size of this array, like I mentioned, the size of your array is the multiplication of the two elements, n by n. That's this size, just like the one we have up here when we're doing our array shape. This size is what's 9 because we have 3 by 9, 3 times 3. So it can either be 1 by 9, 9 by 1, or 3 by 3. So it has to be the size adds up to the shape. I mean, the multiplication of the shape gives us the size. So here, from this, we know that our size should be what? 50. So we're going to say 50. But when we print this, we don't have our final values here. This is what it's giving us. So it's looking good because our values are already 3754, blah, 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 and all of that, you can see. But this is a one-dimensional array. This is what we have. This is a one-dimensional array. And the question says we should have a two-dimension. You can see this double square bracket. You have the external square bracket showing you the enclosure, and then you have the rows, the first row, comma, the second row, and these are the colons. All right. So this is already reshaped. So we'll have to reshape this into what? A 10 by 5. The question says what? 10 by 5 array. So it's going to be 10,5. All right. So when you do that, you can see that we have our final answer. You can see that it has been reshaped into a 10,5 array. So that's how to go about that question. You can see we have our answer already. All right, so let us move. We have about 30 questions, and we have just 19 minutes. Let's see how fast we can go. If we can't finish, you complete the rest yourself. All right, but then all the questions, how to go about it have been addressed in the videos on the learning platform. Okay, so we have the next one. It says find the minimum and maximum values of the above array, rounding them off to 4 decimal places. So that's the beauty of an array. You can do so many mathematical computations around them and all of that. So the first thing we're going to do, there is this .max function and .min function that can help us to find the maximum and the minimum value. So you can just say, first of all, let's see what is in our Q5. Our Q5 is what? This. So our maximum value would be what? 0.98 what? Blah, 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 blah. But it says that this is our maximum value. At a glance, can you tell me what the maximum value is at a glance? Sorry, let me scroll back to the array I'm referring to. Now, at a glance, can you tell me what the maximum value is? No, you can have 1 million elements. And that's why your functions, having to know these functions handy would help you to extract values like that from an array. Okay, so here we can just use the .max function, and then we have our values extracted. But we have our values in a very long long decimal point. So we have to round it up. It said we should round it up to what? To 4 decimal places. So you can use your round function. There's a function in Python called round. All right. And that round function takes, if you don't know what it takes in, you can do your shift tab and then it gives you, it said it gives you what? The round and then the number, that is what you want to round, comma the end digit, that is number of digits you want to round it into it. So this is the value, and they want to round it up into what? 4 decimal places. We're told to save it as what? Q. Okay, so we have the minimum value first. So we have to do this mean Q6A equals what? Round mean. And then you have Q6A. So now you can see that we have our minimum value, which, oh, okay. So I don't know why we are having a different answer. Let me run this again. There is a problem somewhere. My random numbers are changing. So let me run this seed again. Okay, so you can see the challenge with having with random values. Because I didn't run that seed, now you can see that I have the same answer. But because I didn't run that seed, I was getting different answers for my random, because I'm using a random function. So because I was in a random function, that's why I was getting different seeds. But now that I had to run my seed cell again, so now I'm getting the same answer that I should get. All right, let's do the next one. The next one is easier, right? Because we've done the minimum. So the next one is what? The maximum, which is equals to round Q5 dot max. And then, so how many digits? To 4 digits. So let's have the answer printed as well, 6B. So we have the 09, right? 9699, which is correct. Okay, so I believe that answers. Now the next one says find the mean value of the, so you can see that with array, with list, you cannot do this. It's impossible. So in arrays would help you the way you're doing all this image processing, and you're doing where you're going into deep learning. So your arrays will come in, your understanding of arrays will come in handy when you're doing image processing, things that have to do with numbers, a lot of numeric music, sounds that have to do with arrays. But arrays are kind of limited. That's where you start carrying tensors. You start dealing with tensors and all of that. You have to use TensorFlow or PyTorch to to do that. Those are other libraries that you can also use. But then this is beyond the scope of this class. So your understanding of array would be very, very good. There is this picture challenge on the LMS as well. We ran through it in class. So if you follow through it, you can see that you have a bunch of a picture was converted into an array. So you are supposed to convert that array back to the picture. All right, and then using so many of these things we are doing now, you're going to convert just the picture. You take all the arrays and convert it, and then to become a full-blown picture. So you can take your picture, convert it to a numerical format, do all your analysis on it, and convert it back. And so all of those deep learning applications, you're seeing a lot of things are going on behind the scene. All right, so all of this knowledge of all this functions would help you to approach these challenges like that. All right, so we can find the mean value for the above Q5 array, rounding it up. So Q7 equals what? How do you find a mean? I think we should know how to do that, right? Dot mean. And then it says we should what? Round it off to what? We should round it off to 4 decimal places. So it's just similar to what we've been doing. So we have this already. So we can see that our answer is the same. Now, it says that select an even number from the following array and call this output. So I don't know, can somebody attempt this? Even number. How can you do this? This is I talked about this earlier. How can you achieve this? Select all even numbers from the following array and call this output Q8. How can you do that? Does anybody want to try? There are several ways to approach it. If you can have your own, idea. There are several different, it's just like programming. You have this different way to come to a particular answer. So I want to see if there's a chart somewhere. Okay, sorry, I wasn't monitoring the chat. I just saw this all our messages. Yes, Andrew, you're correct. Dot reverse is also good. Okay, that is an approach. Yeah. Arrange 0, 10, 2. So let me use your approach, right? Can I go through the random again? The challenge will be we eat into our time. So, but the case this arrange is good. Another way you can do it is that, assuming maybe you are restricted to using this array, sorry. Assuming you're restricted to using this array, you could just say that Q8 equals array. You can use your modulo to modulo. Modulo is what? Integers after what? Division, right? Your integer after, sorry, let me Q8. There is an issue somewhere. Oh, okay. I didn't run. I have to define the array first. Okay, so this is assuming we have to work with this array. All right. So what I did here was that, the number that they are talking about, they are even numbers, and they are the modulos. Like, for example, if you say 0 modulo 2 would also always give you 0, but 1 modulo 2 would give you what? It would give you a 1. 2 modulo 2 would give you 0. 3 modulo 2 would give you what? 1. So the modulos that give you 1 are the odd numbers. The ones that give you 0 are the even numbers. So you can use this condition to filter out the elements that you want, and then you return the array. So that's another approach to solving this problem. I believe you understand that approach. If you are restricted to this array, but another way you can use the arrange function as well to do that. Okay, for the person that said that she called over the random, we will touch on that during the Q&A. Okay, let's just continue so that we can try to cover at least half of this. All right, so it says make a copy of ARR and call it Q9. Q9 equals what? ARR.copy. Replace all even number. Now you're getting to some, computations. Replace all even numbers from Q9 with what? With 0. So how do you achieve that? Replace all even numbers from Q9 with what? With 0. How do you achieve that? You see, that's where the understanding of your modulo comes in. So the first thing is to filter out all the even numbers. Okay? When you filter out all the even numbers, this, like what we did earlier here, when you filter out all the, like, for example, if you do your Q9 is what? This is, sorry, let me run this first. because I didn't run that, it's showing an error. All right, so when you do Q9, this is it. But what we are interested in, we're interested in all the even numbers. How did we get the even number of the previous one? We did what? Q9, that is the array, the Q9 then enclosed in the condition. What's the condition? Q9 modulo 2 equals 0. All right. Sorry, equals 0. So these are the even numbers we filtered at, but we want to replace all this number with 0. So what we are going to do is, now we remember our assignment function. You can, if you say the condition equals 0, so automatically it replaces it with 0. So if you print your Q9 now, you can see that all the numbers there have been replaced by 0. I don't know if you get that. This first of all filters out all the even numbers, because you now have all the even numbers, just like what we did in lists. How do you change, update an element in a list? You have to slice out the elements. Okay, take it, you slice it out based on the location. If the element is in location 1, now you could just say Q8 1, and it brings out, and you assign another value to it, then it replaces that value in that list. So the same thing happens, the same thing, you can do that in an array as well. So you can filter out all the elements that you want to replace, and then you assign the value you want to replace that element to that condition, and then what happens is that it does the replacing automatically for you. Okay, so the next question says, use the where method to replace all odd numbers. So we have a where method to replace all odd numbers from Q9 with a -1 and call it Q10. So we have a where method. Let's see what the method is about. So the np.where says the condition, and then you have the XY and the slash. So you can scroll down to see how it's used. Okay, see an example of how it's used if you don't really know what it's talking about. So there's an example down. The first thing is, okay, you have this array. Now you want to use the where method to perform a particular function. So what he's doing is that he's using this where method to check for all the numbers that are less than 9, right? Sorry, odd numbers are less than 5. So here it's going to give you 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are strictly less than 5. So it's selecting that number, then it's giving you all those numbers less than 5. I want that number as it is. Okay, that's what this A is saying. Then the other numbers that are greater than 5, can you multiply it by 10? So that's what the where function does. You can perform some computations inside the where clause, whereby you have your condition, okay, that you want to filter out. So in this case, we'll see how to apply it. You have your condition that you want to filter out, and then you state the elements that you want to be, it's not to be changed. You state it there, and then you want the condition that, you can apply your your function on that condition, and then it works on this particular array. Then the same thing for the multi-dimensional array. You could see the example, but because of what we are focusing on, we're focusing on a one-dimensional array. So we've seen how to use it, right? So we can just do our np.where. If you can't, if you don't see it there, you can do your shift tab, and then it's telling you that your condition. So now it says that replace all odd numbers from the Q9 array with what? -1. That is, it's just the odd numbers we want to what? Change. The even numbers should be what? They should be on, they should remain the same. Okay, so the even numbers will be what? Let's do, so you can say your Q9 Q9 modulo 2 equals what? 0. That's what your even number. Okay, your Q9 modulo 2 equals 0. That's your even number. Let me just, we are not filtering it out. We are just using the condition. So let me just, so I want that condition. I want it to be what's our Q9. Then I want the other ones that are not going to be changed should be what multiplied by, should be -1. So our other one should be what? -1. That is the odd numbers should be what? You have to set it to be -1. Okay. So there are several ways to go about this. Not equals to 0. Let me see what this expression cannot contain assignment. Perhaps you meant this. Oh, okay. So to prevent all these complexities, right? Let us set our default. Let's leave our conditions. That is the ones I want to change. Okay, I would put the condition there. So I'm going to do not equals to those, that the ones that the odd numbers, I want it to be what? -1. Then the other ones should remain the same. I can do it that way as well. The odd numbers, I want it to be -1, then the other ones should remain the same. So that can work as well to prevent all the complexities. So here you can see that I'd set the condition using the where clause. That is, all the odd numbers, the even number is the ones that are equal to 0, right? The odd numbers are the ones not equal to 0. That is, maybe they could be 1 or any other number. All right, so I'm saying that select all the odd numbers, replace them with -1, and then the other values, leave them as they are. Okay, so that's what the where clause is doing, and then it solves our problem. So we have that as what's Q10. Okay, so we have that. Now we can continue. It says reshape the above array to a 2x5 and call it Q11. So we can do that quickly. Q11 equals what? Q10 dot reshape 2,5 Q11. So we are still on track. We have that. Now, the next question is, I'll stop at number 15 because of our time, so that I don't eat into the Q&A question session. Okay, so the next one has to do with, it says that stack ARR1 and ARR2 both given below and call it Q12. Stack ARR1 and ARR2 and call it what? Q12. So there are different type of you can use different functions that you can use different functions to do your stack. We have the v stack, you have the concatenate function. You can concatenate across axis. You can use the v stack, that is the vertical stack, depending on how, because they said we should stack it on top vertically, so we can use the v stack method to stack the array. All right, so let's see the array given below. I'm looking for the array. ARR1, ARR2 vertically, call this array 12. This ARR1 and AR. All right, the array was not given, but let me just let me create the array so that we can use it. ARR1. So ARR1, because it's a vertical stack, so ARR1 should be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So let's just do x dot a range of what a range of 10. Let's see. NP, sorry. So this is what, let me see, 0, 0, we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, now I can reshape. Two by 5. So this is this should be AR1. Okay, so let's do the same for AR2 as well. So now AR2 is from 10 to what's 19. So I can do a range. So I'm doing this because of time. So a range from 10 to what, 20. Then reshape. Let me see what it looks like. Okay, so this is AR2. So how do we stack these two arrays together? This is AR1, AR2. So how do you stack these arrays together? I was saying that we can use the V stack or the concatenate function. So let me use the vertical stack to do that. And that's we can do np dot reshape, and I mean np dot v stack. So if you don't know how it works, you can you can check the condition on your this. So it takes in a tuple. So we are going to have the array 1, comma array 2. So you can see here that this V stack had already stacked these two arrays. You can see the two arrays now. We have them as a single array. You can see it as a single array, and they've been stacked on top of each other. So you can use your V stack to do that. You can try the concatenate on your own. You can concatenate across the axis equals 0, because it's a row-wise concatenation. All right. Okay, so this should be saved as what's Q12. Let me print it out, Q12. Okay, so we have our answer the same. Now, tag AR1 and AR2 horizontally and call it what, Q10. And so it's just the reverse of what we did. So we can use the H stack, or you can use the concatenation across axis equals 1. So either of those two would work. So let's do the same thing. That would be what? 12, 13 equals np.h stack ARR1, comma AR2, Q13. So you can see that they've been concatenated across the axis. All right. So you can try concatenation axis equals 1, because you're concatenating across the columns. All right. So the next question says, swap first and second column in the following array called AR3. But where are these arrays? And save it as Q14. Swap the first and second columns in the following array called AR3. Let me check if there's any array called AR3. All right, I'll have to create it. Let me see how to create the array. Okay, so I'm going to use let me create the array, because we don't have that array. Okay, so let me study how this was done. This says that the first and second column, swap the first column, that is this, against this, and then call it ARR3. All right, so our array should look like, let me do this. Should do np.array. Then we have a list of values. We should have 22 first, 22, 56, 34, 54, 12. I'm just studying how the array should initial array should look like. 42, so 67 should come next because this is already swapped. So we have 67, 56, 99. So this should be the AR3. Okay, so this is just an array. So I'm going to reshape it to a 3 by 3. So this is should be the array. So I'm going to reshape it to the 3 by 3. Dot reshape to what? The 3, 3. We shape. Oh, sorry, typo. Now, okay, I tried. All right, so this is this should be the how the AR3 should look like. Okay, let me print it out again. All right, so we have this. So the question says we should swap 23, 54, 67 should be on the next row. It should be on this row, which is here now, 23, 22, 54, 67, and 56, 12, 56 should be on this row. Okay, so that's what the question said we should do. How do we approach that? So we can try, there are different ways we can do that, right? We can use the order to swap. That is, there is, when I was explaining array, I was explaining indexing and slicing. That's another key thing that you'd have to know how to and how to do. How to approach. You must understand how to do indexing and and slicing of arrays. It's very, very key, and it could be very confusing. So what you could do is that we could do an indexing of and then index all the columns, all the rows, and then swap it 102. That's what let's try that approach. How do you index out all the columns, all the rows? By doing this like this, it gives you the same array that is all the rows. But now I want to swap my colon. So I want it, normally it should be 0, 1, 2. I want it to return it as 102 as my output. I don't want 0, 1, 2. I want 102 as my output. And so let me see what the answer would look like. So when I do that, you can see that it swaps the order. So normally if I just do 0, 1, and 2, this is what will happen. It's still going to give me the same array. But if I want to swap, this is row 0. So this column represents the rows. That is, I want all the rows. Then this full column represents all the rows, comma, then this one represents the column location. This is the column location 0, 1, 2. Right? But because I want it to give me in a reverse order, I can just say I want it as what? 1, 0. So I can also do 2, 0, 1. Anyhow you want to reverse it. If I wanted 2, 0, 1, I would have said 2, 0, what? 1. And you can see that 2 is now in what? This is our 2. 342, 99 is now in location what? It's now in location 1. Location 0, and then our original 0 is now where? In the middle, and our original 1 is now at the end. So that's how to swap. Let me just, I don't know if I'll be able to touch on indexing. Let me see if there's any question on indexing. Okay, there is no question. Let me just touch a little bit on indexing. So let me just leave this correct answer first, then I'll just do a little bit on indexing, so that you would further. Okay, so our answer is correct. Let me just use this array to show you a bit on indexing of the array. So for example, I want to index out all the rows, okay, that is all the rows, and then all of row 56, 12, 56. How am I going to go about it? So I'm going to say A33, all of my rows, but then I want just column 1. So that gives me what? 56, 12, 56. That's this one. If I want column 1 and I want 56, 12, 56, 34, 42, 99. I'm going to say all of my rows, comma 1, 2, 3, or 1 to the end. Let's just do 1 to the end. So you can see that it has given me 56, 34, 12, 42, 56, 99. What if I just want 54, 12, 42. How do I go about that? What if I wanted 54, 12, 42? So this is how I'm going to approach it. Now, because I don't want I want only one row. And what is that one row? This is what? This 22, 26 is row 0. This is row 1. So I'm going to start from row 1, comma, because this side represents the row and the other side represents the column. So I've selected row 1, but then I want all the columns. So I'm going to do full column, and that's going to select 54, 12, 42. I believe we understand this. Okay, so what if I wanted just 22? I just want only 22. How am I going to select that? So now this is becoming a bit, complex. 22 is what? Allocation. The role is allocation what? 0. And then the column is also allocation what? Allocation 0. So you can see that this is 22. What if I want 22 and 56? Now, the row is allocation what? 0, right? But the colon, I want both 22 and 56. So I'm going to say 0, 2, 2. That is 0 and 1. So you have 22 and 56. So this indexing is very, very key, because it will help your understanding when you're doing pandas as well. It will help you to understand how to select your values within your data sets. Okay. So, but then it's not difficult. Just understand that an array, this is a 2-dimensional array. You have what? 3 columns. That is 1. This is the first column, second column, third column, and then you have 3 rows. Sorry, 3 rows. This is first row, second row, and a third row. And then you have 3 columns this way. That is vertically 25, 22, 54, 67, 56, 12, 56. Those are your 3 columns. And when you're doing your indexing, you use your location just like you do that on the list. So you have this location is index 0, index 1, index 2. As well, because for the row, you have 0, 1, and 2. So that would guide you on how to, index out some certain values within your array. So at this point, I will have to pause, and then we would have to take our quiz break. I've taken like 16 minutes out of the time. Let us get into our quiz quickly. Try your hands on the remaining, okay? Try your hands on the remaining question. Swap one, I believe we can do this. Swap row 1 and row 2. We did that already. So you can just use the approach that row 1 and row 2. You just change the location and then it gives you the answer. So for each of them, you can see that the answers are already here. So what you're doing, you're working to get the answer. Reverse the column, you work together. If you don't have, if you have any question, you can always reach out. You have somebody to attend to you. And then if you've watched those videos, I think you should be able to do this, all right? Because we addressed all of this. So just go through. We have about 15 more questions. We have some what is the shape. This should be this should be a piece of cake to some persons, right? But just go over the videos and then try your hands on the remaining, and let's see what you have. All right, we need to take a break. This has been like it has been a wonderful time, but for people that are just seeing this for I'm sure maybe some people might have like some basic understanding of NumPy, but for some people that are just coming in contact with this for the first time, don't worry. It's just for you to keep trying, try, and you get better, you get familiar. It's not difficult, it's very easy. Okay. All right, so let us get into the quiz. I'm going to share the link. Okay, so these are the questions. I'm going to share the link again on the chat. Let me get the link to the quiz. I'll share with you and then we'll get started. Let me just get that quickly. Okay, are we ready? Are we getting ready? Try your hands on the quiz. Thank you, Vincent. Thank you for the feedback. All right, so we'll be going into the quiz. I'm going to share the link. The link is on the bootcamp curriculum. So I think some persons are having issues accessing the bootcamp curriculum. The link is on the LMS. So if you go to the LMS is we have for this particular class, this is live class 3, right? You have the bootcamp curriculum sheet here. So when you click on this, it should take you to the curriculum sheet. Okay, so that shouldn't be a problem. You can access the curriculum sheet. We have the links to the Slido classes. I mean to the slide Q&A interface there as well. All right, so I'm going to share this link and then you can start joining. So everybody, please go to slido.com and then enter this code and start joining. We want to just try to do a brief recap of what we've been talking about. Okay, sorry, I think I've not start. Let me start the quiz now. Let me start interaction. All right. Okay, please, you can start joining. Start joining. Let's do that. We have just 10 minutes for the quiz. Let's do that quickly. Okay, I'm still waiting. Okay, I'm still waiting. So we have 15 persons. Can we have more people join quickly? Just try to attempt it. It's going to help you in terms of better understanding the concepts that we shared in class. Do we have more persons joining? Okay, I think because of our time, we'll have to just start because the number has not really increased. Okay, we have 16 people now. Okay, so we have 8 questions, 20 seconds each. Fastest fingers first. They are not difficult, they are easy. I believe you should be able to answer the questions. But if you don't know it, it's not, you can just pass. All right. If you do try to attempt it, it's just going to help your, further understand the concept shared. So I'm going to start the quiz now. Are we ready? All right, let's go. What is the correct way to import NumPy in Python? What is the correct way to import NumPy in Python? I think everybody should answer this question. Don't pass. All right. So we have 92% say import NumPy as MP, and then we have 8% says import NumPy.all. So let's see what the answer is. The answer is import NumPy as MP. So you import then the NumPy package then as alias. So if there is import NumPy, right, that's also correct. If you had just import NumPy, so it's not compulsory to use your alias. You can now use your alias or not. Okay. And then you can even use your alias as anything, import NumPy as TK. But by default, by statutorily, what you see most person use is import NumPy as NP. So that's the main syntax. So that's why that is correct. So thank you, everyone. Kristen, Andrew, Rahim, Amos, Okran, and everybody. Thank you all. We're going to the next question. Are we ready? All right. What function is used to create an arrow field with zeros in NumPy? Okay, did I talk about zeros? All right, I didn't. An array field with zeros, but it was mentioned in the class video. If you watch the video, you should be able to answer this question. Okay, so we have 62 says mp.zeros, 23 mp.empty, 15 mp.fill. So let's see the answer. We have np.zeros. Okay, so we have different array how to quickly create arrays. All right, so we have different, it was mentioned in the class recording. We have the mp.zeros, which creates an array filled with zeros, like you want to just have your arrays filled with zeros. Then you have the mp.ones that creates an array filled with ones. So you can try it out on your system. If you have something like let me just see quickly. If you do mp.zeros, so you have to give it a shape, right? It's going to give you, if you do mp.0, it will give you an error. So you have to give it takes in the shape. Let me just pull up. So it has to be a shape. You have to give it a shape. It could be 6 by 7 matrix, and sorry, it gives you a shape. You can have like 3 by 3. Why is it giving me that and oh, sorry, it gives me I can tell it's what number of arrays, like then I can now reshape to this is 10 2,5, and then I have this. So you can have arrays filled with 0, an array filled with 0. Now this is showing an error because the multiplication is not up to the length. That was why I have that error. So now I'm going to do another one, the shape to 10 by 5. So np.0 gives you array field with 0. np.ones gives you an array field with ones. np.I gives you an identity matrix. np.I, okay, sorry, np.I takes a shape. It takes a shape. So I'm going to put the shape. You can see that's here, np.I, n, comma, m, and then you have the data type. So I'm going to put the shape. It gives you an identity matrix of gives you an identity matrix where you have one on the diagonal. So you can have like a 5 by 5 matrix. So you can see that all the ones are on the diagonal, gives you an identity matrix. Then we have the np.full. np.full gives you an array filled with any number. If, for example, I want to have a full number of sorry, I have to give the full value. It gives me a full value, like here you can see that it's giving me a full value of 5. So those are the different array functions. Quick array functions. So we don't have anything like empty.fill, no, but we have empty.ones and then empty.zeros. So I think I dwelt more a lot on that. Let me move to the next question. So thank you, Christian, Andrew, Okran, Amos, Adiola, and everybody. All right, let's go to the next one. Are you ready? Okay. Which function is used to find the sum of elements along a specific axis in a NumPy array? Sum of elements. Did we do this? Okay, no, we didn't, but then you should be familiar with this function. We did min max, but we didn't do sum. Okay, so let's see the answer. All right, so the answer is np.sum. Sums a particular element within the axis of an array. All right. Now let's move forward. We have Christian, Andrew, Rahim, Adiola, and Okran. All right, let's go to the next one. How would you access the elements on the third row and second column? So this is just think of row and column. I mentioned row and column, then the number should be easy for you. Third row, what number? Second column, what number? Okay, so let's see the answer. The answer is A. So I'm saying that there's a tie between 38 and 40. I don't know why we chose. Is it because of now the square bracket is what you use for indexing. You don't use the normal bracket. Use the square bracket for indexing. So let's take note of that. Now, your element on the third row, I mentioned that this first point is for your rows, and this is for your column when you're indexing. This is for your row, and this is for your column. Even if when you're doing your m by n or whatever array, maybe you're doing like a 3 by 3 matrix, that's telling you that 3 rows and 3 columns. If it's 3 by 5, that's what 3 rows and 5 columns. 10 by 50, 10 rows and 50 columns. That's the interpretation. All right. So that's for the dimension. Now we're talking about indexing here. So here you have your array name, then the square brackets. The third row. The third row is what? At location 2. It's a zero-based indexing. Your list zero-based, your arrays are zero-based when you're doing your indexing. Even your strings too, they're zero-based. So your element at row 3 is number 2. Row 1 is number 0. Row 2 is number 1. Row 3 is what? Number 2. Comma. Then this is for the row, for the column. The column says second column. The second column, that is the first column is what? 0, and the second column is 1. So that's why you have AR out. So let me use this example to show you. Let me delete this one that I have here. Okay, good. All right, so this Q4, let me see if I still have Q4 in memory. So it has been altered. All right, that's why you have to create copies. I wanted something, okay, because I didn't save it back. That's why I don't have that Q4. All right, so now this is my Q4, right? So what we're just saying is that your Q4 elements in words, we want the elements in words, column, row 2, row 3, and that is what? That's 2. This is 0, 1, 2. That is what? 2, comma, and then column 2. This is column 2. This first column is what? 0. The second column is 1. So that's the element that one slides out is 8. This element, that's what we want to get out, is 8. So that comes at this, and then you see that 8 comes out. Do we understand? So that's how indexing is done. If I do this, see, it's telling me I have an error, right? Object is not callable. All right, it's seeing it as a function. If I do these two, closing parentheses does not have, you can see the difference. All right, so let's take note of that. It's a square bracket for indexing, not a curly brace as well. And then you start from, you do zero-based indexing. So well done, everybody. You tried, now you know, and now we can move forward. Okay, so let's go. We have Christian, we have Andrew, we have Raim, Adiola, Christian, Okran. Thank you all and everybody. All right, next question. We have 4 more questions to go, and we still have to take our question and answer. All right. If an array has a shape of 3, 4, what does this represent? So everybody should get this one because I just explained. 3, 4. 3, 4. You have a shape of 3, 4. What does this represent? Okay, so we have majority saying 3 rows and 4 columns. Let's see what the answer says. And that's exactly what the answer. I said this is for the rows, not elements, not arrays, rows. Okay, three rows, not columns. The first is your row, and the next one is your column. So we have 3 rows. If you have an element with a shape of 3 by 4, it says it has 3 rows and 4 columns, and that is we have a total of 12 elements in that array. I believe we understand now. All right, so let's move to the next one. All right. We have just 4 minutes to round off with this. So let me just go to the next one quickly. How do you reshape a NumPy array from 1D array to a 2D array? What function? We've used that function a lot today. So just remember what we've done. How do you reshape a NumPy array from 1D array to a 2D array? Okay, so we have it's 8% save shape. We have swap. We have .form underscore array. So the answer is reshape. How do you reshape? We talked about where you have a one-dimensional array, that is an array that is just a single row or a single column, right? And then you want to change it to maybe a 2 by 3 or a 3 by, or what we've been doing, like what we did here. You can see here that we had this is a one-dimensional array, just a single row of elements. Now, to change it to a two-dimensional, this is a two-dimensional array. You can see the double square, a two-dimensional array. We have to use the reshape function to reshape it into a two-dimensional array. Okay, so I believe we got that. Let's move. Okay, next question. Which of the following correctly extracts all the elements of the first rule of a NumPy array? All the elements of the first rule of the NumPy array. Okay, so we have 47 says A, 27B, and 27D. Let's see the answer. Good. All right. So what this is saying is that, you know, the elements on the, I mentioned it as well, are the elements on the first row. This is, for example, we want to extract, this is all the elements on this row. I want to extract all the elements on this row. How do we extract it? What you're going to do is the name of your array, your square bracket. This row is what? What location is its location? What? 0. And because our row comes first when we are indexing, we put the location number 0, comma. But then we want all the elements. It's not just one. We want 1, 2, 3, and the symbol to index out all is your full colon, and that's why you have that as the answer. So the people that said this would have just indexed out the people that said this would have just indexed out 147. That is the first column, not the first row. All right, and the people that said 0, 0 indexes out the first elements. Do you understand now? All right, I believe we got that. This time for the quiz is up. Let me just move to the next one. We have the last question. Let's take that quickly. All right, we have Raheem, Andrew, Okran, Christian, Adiola. All right, next, are we ready? And the final one. Okay, which of the following would create a 3x3 identity matrix in NumPy? I think we mentioned it. 3x3 identity matrix in NumPy. Are we ready? We have 14 people answered. Oh, you mentioned it. All right, let's see. There's a strong tie between identity and I. Oh, some people did guesswork. All right, so I mentioned np.I when I was explaining np.I, np.zeros, np.ones, np.full. So np.I is your identity matrix. It helps you to create an identity matrix that looks like this, which we have up here. I think, okay, I deleted that already when I was explaining your different NumPy functions. Okay, so np.I creates an identity matrix that has 1 on the diagonal. That's what an identity matrix look like. All right, thank you all for your attempts. I think you learned a great deal. Thank you all. Oh, we have Rahim, Andrew, Okran, Adiola, Christian. Thank you for answering, everyone. Thank you for attempting, and hope you enjoyed the session. All right, so we are going to go right into our questions. If you have questions, now is the time to ask your question. And we can, let's start from the ones on the quiz. I mean, on the Q&A board. Let me see if we have any. Okay, I'm trying to look for the board. Let me open it again. Live class. Okay, let me go to the Q&A. Oh, we have just two questions. That means everybody, you're very good with NumPy. Okay, so we have the first question that says, explain to me difference between axis equals 0, axis equals 1 while dealing with metrics. I think we touched on that already, but I can just iterate. Reiterate it. Axis equals 0 talks about your axis, your row, when you're performing row-wise computations. And then the axis equals 1, it addresses column-wise computation. So let me just use an example so that I think it will be easier that way. Okay, let me look for one example I can quickly use for you. Okay, assuming we have this metrics, given this metrics, can I use this notebook? Let me use this notebook. Okay, we have a matrix called NP.arrange. I just want to create an array so that you'll be able to understand better. A range of values, a range of values dot reshape 3,3. I believe we understand what this is doing because we've gone through it in class. Okay, there is a problem somewhere. What is the problem? Okay, this is having a size of 10, so I want it to be 9. Okay, so we have this array, right? So you have metrics, and then you want to perform a sum. You can say metrics.sum. We talked about we talked about summing values, right? Summing values. Sorry, np.sum. We talked about np.sum in our quiz. Summing values. Now I want to perform the sum across the rows. So I'm going to set axis equals 0. So my result is I want this array, right? I want it to have an addition across the rows. That is, my answer would be what? 0 plus 1 plus 2. That would be what? 3. 3 plus 4 plus 5. That would be what? 12. Then 6 plus 7 plus 8. That would be what? Mathematics people 21. So we should have, oh, sorry. It's giving me I didn't quite get the submissions very well. So it's okay. It's giving me, this is the column-wise computation. Axis equals 0 is your column-wise computation, and then your row-wise computation is axis equals 1. All right. So your column-wise computation is axis equals, I was using pandas. Pandas axis equals 0, axis equals 1 is column, axis equals 0 is rows. Okay, if for NumPy, axis equals 0 is column-wise, while axis equals 1 is your row-wise computation. So your column-wise computation is your computation your computation across the column, that is 0 plus 3 plus 6, which is 9. 1 plus 4 plus 7 gives you 12. 2 plus 5, 7 plus 8 gives you what? 15. So if you change this to axis equals 1, we're having what? 3, 12, 21, which I mentioned earlier. 3, 12, 21. So axis equals 0 does what's your column-wise computation, while axis equals 1 does what's your row-wise computation. I believe you got that explanation. All right, let's see the next hello everyone. Did I drop? I don't know if I dropped. Okay. I didn't hear, I wasn't seeing my screen anymore, so I felt I dropped. All right, so let's continue. The next question, what does it say? Let me see the next question. Okay, so this has been answered. Let me go to this place. Okay, so we have this answered already. Demonstrate how to submit the assignment. Okay, let me answer this one, Nusrat Kalim's answer. All right, so it says, could you please explain the random.random again? All right, so what random.random does is that you have it gives you a random value between 0 and 1. Between 0 and 1 gives you random values between 0 and 1. And I want to go back to where we use that function. Okay, let me check where we use that function. Yeah, so here, when you let's go back to the documentation. So it gives you random floats between 0 and 1. And what it does is that you can decide to say, I want a random number, 50 random numbers. For example, maybe you use it a lot when you're doing, you want to do a kind of a game like computation or something that has to do with you know, games. You're creating a game model or something, so use random numbers a lot. Or maybe you want to sample some data sets, randomize some data sets. Okay, so you can use random a lot. So here, when you do your np.random.random, you give it the number of elements you want to have in your array, and then we are reshaping, because if we give it a number of elements, it gives us a one-dimensional array. So here you can decide to say something like np.random random.random. Then you can say 10. So this give you 10 random numbers, right? Random elements in an array. So between it has to be between 0 and 1. All right, so all of the numbers will not exceed, not be less than 0, and then it should not be more than 1. So I believe you understand what that does now. All right, so then the question says we should reshape it. So you can decide to reshape it to, now this array can just be reshaped to either 2 by 5, 5 by 2, 10 by 1, or a 1 by 10, because of the size of the array. So you can have a reshape, and then you have like 2,5. Okay, now you can see that it has been reshaped. You can also have 5,2 if you want, or 5,5. 5,5 is 25, so it's not going to work. So you can have 5,2, which reshapes it to 5 what? 5 rows and 2 columns. All right. So I think we'll just answer the last question, and then we'll call it a wrap. Let me see the last question here. Okay. So this should have been answered. I believe that's been answered, right? All right, so I'm going to mark that. Can you demonstrate how to submit the assignment? So on the LMS, back to the LMS, you go to the LMS on the class recordings, okay? You have a table. You have a table, and then on this table you have the classes. That's for each of the class. You have what we're focusing on. The recorded session. So the recordings is going to be the link to the recordings will be available for each of the sessions after the class. So for this session, we have it recorded. It's going to be available here. And then you have your exercises. These are the exercises that you should download. Yeah, because this table is quite large, you could just scroll down and navigate. All right, so and then you go up. You have your exercise, and then you have the link, submission link, upload your assignment here. Just click on the link, and then it takes you to a Google form, and then you submit your assignment. Enter your name, your email address, the title of your assignments, and then you upload it you put your name and your name on the file, so that you'll be able to distinguish it from other people's submission. So I believe you got that. All right. Okay, so do we have any other questions before we call it a wrap? Any questions, please? Oh, np.identity. worked as well. Yeah, some of these NumPy functions, sometimes they might have been out of use. Sometimes they tend to like remove them. Let me see if it's still functional. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes, it works. It's functional. It works as well. It works as well. So you have the NumPy np.I, which is okay. So the difference is this returns a 2D array with ones on the diagonal and 0 elsewhere. While the identity, let's look at the identity matrix. It returns an n by n. It's now it returns an identity array. In the identity array is a square array with ones on the main diagonal. So it's the same thing with an n by n outputs. So it's also the same thing. You can use identity as well. Thank you for that. Thank you for bringing it to our notice. All right, so we have this I. This is the I as well, which has been used here. So it's just that the application is it's kind of different. Yeah, so you can use I, you can also use your identity. So if you read through this documentation, it's giving you the same outputs. Okay, thank you for that. Sikata. All right. Is it Sikata? Okay, sorry. Sorry for the name. Okay, so the Christian, I mean, Sikata, you said link to the LMS. So for people having issues with accessing the learning platform, check your emails for an email on invitation to access the learning platform. We sent emails to everybody that's supposed to be in this program. So if you have not gotten that email, is it that number one, you submitted a wrong email address? Because we had some people that had their emails have just been bouncing, and then we have some people that their inbox are full. All right. So it's either you submitted the wrong email address or your inbox is full and then you're not receiving email, or the email is in the spam folder. And if all those things are happening, we posted the names of the people on the platform, but just I think only one person reached out. And then there's a limit to what we can do at our end. So if you didn't get, I mean, if you've not gotten the access, you can send an email. If for people that send email, we respond to them. If you're supposed to be on this program, respond to you, and then we will send the email to you if need be. All right. So you should get that link to the LMS in your email. If you can't find the email, respond to us so we can have your correct email address, and then we check through. If you're supposed to be on this program, we send the link access to you, and then you can start accessing the LMS. All right. Okay, so I want to encourage everybody, please ensure you're following through the program. We'll be having our capstone presentations at the end of the program on week 8. But for this course, the capstone presentation will be made available by next week so that you can start, if you'll be focusing on this module, you can start working on your capstones for this particular module. All right, so if you have any other questions, ensure you drop your questions on the group, or you can also send us an email. But try to use the group most times, because you find out that a lot of people might have, faced the same challenges, and then they can address your questions as well. And then for our Q&A, if you want us to address any particular concepts, you can also drop it on the Slido, and then would address it in class. All right. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Our next class is going to be on Friday evening. Yeah, using the same link. We're not sending another email because we don't want to keep sending the same email and the same email, so that we don't get to miss on miss important communication. So the same link is going to be